Hello, hello, hello. It is Sunday. This is our beginning of our fall skill builder. I'm going to give everyone kind of a few minutes to pop on. I'm going to pull up the video on my iPad so that I can see comments kind of as they pop up. Oh, let's turn that volume down on my iPad. That's terrible. We don't need to be in surround sound here. All right, so I actually got a new camera set up. Same camera, but I got an overhead thing, so hopefully it's a little easier to see things from the top down when we're working. I know it's hard when I cut things sometimes in the videos to see what I'm doing, so hopefully this will work better. The only thing is that I have to move you guys from the stand to the machine here, and that will be kind of annoying. I thought Facebook Live had a pause button, but it turns out that it does not, and I was led astray by Google AI results. There's no live button, no pause button. So we'll just go back and forth, and you get to see the inside of my palm as I move from back and forth. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is our week one project. We are going to do snap taps, eyelet bobs, and a bag tag tonight in the koalas. Those of you that got the hat from So Unique Designs, this is her Morley Gray. I'm actually going to use a bigger sheet that I have because I'm going to do all mine in one hoop to make my life easier. But we're going to do them on her diamond dust. And in her little pack, which was awesome, it comes with all the hardware. Um, it has the wire ring, it's got some wood beads, a keychain, beaded chain here, the eyelets, and then a large jump ring. And she's going to rivet in for the snap tabs. I prefer snaps, and the only reason I prefer snaps is because I don't want to switch on my die press from the hole cutter to the rivet press because I'm lazy. So that's really the main reason that I prefer the snap tabs. No other good reason. Rivets are actually more secure and they look great. It's just my laziness here that I prefer the snap tabs. So no other real reason. So, all right. So before we get started, I want to talk quick minute about stabilizer and vinyl. So what Michelle sent was her diamond dust. I actually really like this vinyl. It stands up really well to satin stitches and doesn't have a lot of stretch. You'll find with some vinyls, I don't have one over here right now, especially with some marines or some, actually I do have some, I'm thinking in particular. Aha, I found it. I've got a roll of it over here. It will come out and it's so pretty. I love this stuff, but this vinyl in particular, where I got it from, has a lot of stretch to it. So when you're stitching a big fill area or even some heavier satins, this is a tendency to want to either kind of distort, stretch, or kind of pucker around the satins. So I use this kind of conservatively about what projects I'm going to go with that. So, um, and what I do like about Michelle, this is not an ad for Michelle, I promise. But on her website, she actually lists out what vinyls are suitable for what projects. So if you're curious about a vinyl you're going to get, if it's going to stand up to satin stitches or a lot of fills, she'll tell you because some just don't. A lot of these novelty vinyls like this, which are super cute and super fun, a satin stitch will perforate these and it'll end up pulling away from your design, and nobody wants that. Also, I like to use care, honestly, with a lot of things that have fuzzy backs. And that's not true for all vinyls that have fuzzy back, because Diamond Dust does, some other ones do, and they're great. But I'm just kind of cautious about those. This one will perforate 1000% of the time with a satin when I've used it. I don't know where I got this from. This is a canvas backed vinyl, and I like these a lot too. These will stand up to satins and heavy fills, no stretching, things like that. So some people I think shy away from the canvas back vinyls because they're a little thinner, but I really do like them. They stitch up really well. Um, Lastly, with the vinyls, this stuff is beautiful. It's freaking terrible. I got a big roll of this from like Fabric Empire couple years ago because it's gorgeous. It's awful. It seriously it perforates every time, but and it holds wrinkles if I were to use it on a bag. But what I do like it for are just really simple designs where it's not a lot of heavy stitching because then I don't have to worry about it perforating and worry about it getting wrinkled. Because if I try to put this on a bag and I do this to it, you can see all these wrinkles that you see, even with the hair dryer, those are never coming out. So Just be mindful of the vinyls that you get, especially if you're new and you're kind of inexperienced looking for vinyls. Marine vinyl is great 99% of the time. Keep in mind with marine vinyls that it's not going to show my comments, and I swear Facebook hates me. 99% of the time, marine are it's great. It's a great option for vinyls and things like that. However, what I will say is that the lighter the color the marine is, the more likely you're to get stitches sinking in. Um, and what do I mean by that? I actually don't have a good example because I don't use a lot of white marine. But you'll see, like, say you have a design that has really small text on there or really fine details, and you're stitching on white marine vinyl. What'll happen is you'll start seeing it starts kind of looking like it's eating into the vinyl. The stitches aren't crisp, they don't pop. It's not the design 9 times out of 10. It's the white marine vinyl. I'm not saying you can't use white marine vinyl, but just know the kind of vinyl you're using and some workarounds for that. So if you find that you're using a vinyl and your stitches are sinking in, what you can do is you can get a water soluble topper and put that on top. And that will kind of help give a little more structure to your fabric and your stitches so they don't sink into the vinyl. So this is not just for fabric, stuffies, things like that. Think about, like, if you're really struggling with your vinyl eating, so to speak, your stitches, try to put a topper on it. That will help keep those stitches crisp. Also, making sure that you're using cutaway um, stabilizer. This is just a medium weight cutaway. I use this for probably 99% of my designs. I don't have to use them for that many. This design tonight, I'm totally fine with tearaway. It's just what I kind of reach to. Well, there's my comments finally. Hi, everybody. There's two. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Um, and hi, Michelle. Oh, thank you for linking, Nancy. So that's kind of my little spiel on that. So with stabilizers. So like I said, I use cutaway 90% of the time unless I call for a different stabilizer. Certain projects will call for a different stabilizer. If you're making in the hoop bags, tearaway is going to be your easiest option. If you make things like stuffies, tearaway again, because you want to make sure that you can actually remove all of that stabilizer from the project when you're done. Same thing I have for my slap bracelet, same thing. You want that stabilizer out of the way. But with projects like this, snap tabs, things like this, honestly, I'm just going to grab it. But this probably the stitch count is similar for tonight's project to something like this. Not a lot of heavy stitching, some small details, but nothing serious. This would be fine on a tearaway. So when you're thinking about what stabilizer to use, if it hasn't been specified for the project as to what you should use, and if I do require a certain stabilizer for, say, stuffies or bags, I'll tell you in the directions. This is what you need to get. But other ones, it's kind of like use your best judgment there. If you have a heavy design, so if you've got something with a lot of, so this right here, you see those thick stitches right there, or like here on the outside of this, that thick wide stitch, it's called a satin stitch. So this, 9 times out of 10, if you've got a lot of satins, you're going to want to cut away. Same thing if you have a lot of areas with, see that kind of like where it's filled and it's called a fill. Same thing. You're going to want, if you have a lot of that, you're going to want to cut away. But if you have kind of like a lower stitch count design, you can look at the numbers of the stitch count for the designs, and it's on the lower end. You can totally use tearaway. So, but you can always, unless the project says otherwise, you could use them interchangeably as well too. So let's see. Krista, yeah, so I'm gonna make sure. So I just found out that now Facebook has changed their video storage policy on me, which means that these are only stored for like 30 days, which is super annoying. So I need to make sure I get them pulled off this week and put up onto YouTube. So they're all there. I thought they were there indefinitely, but apparently they're not. So thanks, Facebook, for more great changes. Um, hey, Mary Ellen. No-show mesh, you could use, so it depends on the no-show mesh you're talking about. If you're talking about the no-show mesh that is like a topper, you could absolutely use that in the top of a design too, because it's water soluble. There's also mesh here too, which this is also a mesh, but it's used for a different purpose and this will not wash away. So keep that in mind. If you're trying, if we're going back to like, what can you put on top? Um, Make sure that whatever you put on top of a design is going to be something you can, it's water soluble. No-show mesh, I typically don't use as what I have hooped. Anything I do, I use no-show mesh, the fusible stuff to fuse directly to the back of my fabrics. So if I'm doing like a flat weave towel, if I'm doing a mug rug, if I'm doing some type of fabric that I want to give it some more structure to, sweatshirts, tote bags, things like that, I will use mesh on the back of that, a fusible mesh, but it's not what I hoop in my hoop itself. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like an addition to what I've chosen my stabilizer to be. No, there's no code to view on YouTube. You just go to my YouTube and it'll pop up. I don't know how to put codes on anything except for the limited releases. So no, no, I'm not that tech savvy. All right, so for tonight, I'm going to be using the Diamond Dust. So same thing, if you got the kit, it's the same thing. I just cut my sheets bigger because I'm doing all three in one hoop, but I don't want to place out three pieces of vinyl. I'm also going to use a vinyl for the back of my design as well. You don't have to. A lot of times I use felt on the back of designs because felt is typically cheaper than vinyl and it works just the same because no one's really looking at the backside. Another option for the backside you can use too is Olefun. It's a polypropylene fabric. It's like what you have on like the reusable shopping, kind of the cheaper shopping reusable bags. It's pretty thin, so if you're gonna use these for a backing, I would try to go with a color that's kind of similar to what you're already using. You can kind of see, you can see on camera, you kind of can see through this a little bit. They make it in black, and the black you can't see through. I use this a lot too for notebook covers as well, just as backings. So it's not just like all these little vinyl on there. Um, as for hardware, so snap tabs, I told you why I prefer snaps over rivets. Um, but you have lots of options with how you want to actually display your snap tabs, your eyelets. I don't want to take all these out because they're going to go everywhere and I'm going to lose them. Oh, I've got a cup there. Look at that. All right, so you have options here for your snap tabs. I like these guys because they come in fun colors and I like colors. But you can just use just a split ring right there for a keychain. You could use a swivel hook, which I didn't grab any out. You could even just use the beaded chain on your snap tab too. So whatever your preference is for that, it's totally up to you. Um, Eyelets usually will come in a nice little handy set like this. So where it comes with the actual eyelets, it comes with the backs for them, and it comes with both a punch and a setting tool. I have a Crocodile, which has a hole punch on one end, and then it attaches the rivets here. So I prefer to use this just because it's quick and easy versus using a setting tool. But that is just me. These are pretty cheap on Amazon. You just want to get 3/16, or if they only have metric, you can get 5 millimeter, and that works too. They're roughly the same size. It might be the exact same size. I'm not a math person, so I can't do the conversion for you, but it's close enough you can use them interchangeably. All right, my redder color is closed. Yep, it's closed, I promise. It's very linty, but it is closed. But honestly, with me, that wouldn't be surprising if it wasn't, but it is. Um, all right. So issue with snaps coming off. So a couple reasons for that. One, if you're using, say, 2 layers of vinyl here, it gets kind of thick. And there's two types of snaps. There's long prongs and there's standard prongs. I don't think I have any standards over there anymore. And long prongs get you where that prong is a little bit longer. So when you go to attach it in there, it's going to have more to kind of mash down in there, however they work, the magic that goes in there. Um, if you are using, say, a hand setting tool for snaps, or you are using the standard prongs, sometimes they don't get enough in there and they don't really secure and bite in there the way they should, and they'll pop off. So you have a couple options for that. One, actually several. You have a hand press and you want to keep using what you have instead of just using, where's my awl? There it is. Instead of just using an awl like we do to puncture our hole to put our snap in, if you were to punch a hole with either a crocodile or just a hole puncher here, if you were to punch a hole in that before adding a snap, it's going to clear up some of that bulk for you. So those cam snaps will bite in better and it will help so that they don't pop off as easily. Um, Table presses are a lot more secure in general, putting snaps on, but not everyone has that in the budget or they want that giant press sitting around all the time, which I understand too. So if you don't have a press and you don't want to get a press, try punching a hole out of it instead of just piercing it with the awl. And that helps, I would say, in most cases. And then when you go to reorder snaps, try and order the long prongs. That way they can get in there and bite better. Um, let's see. All right. So I think I kind of covered the basics there with that. And when we do other projects, as we kind of go through the scale builder, I'll talk about different stabilizers too when we get there. But just for snap tabs and eyelets, just know that cutaway, tearaway are all you're really going to need for those. But like I said, maybe get a topper if you really, really want to use white marine vinyl or even yellow marine vinyl is bad too. Just those lighter colors. If it's a dye makes them softer, like how they mix them, I don't know. But always keep in mind that you can grab this on top too and put that on, it'll rinse with water, or half the time it just pulls away. And you can use the back of your seam ripper, any kind of like rubberized thing. And if you've got that water soluble stabilizer in there, you can kind of almost erase it away too. So that helps a lot too. So if you don't want to like get the whole thing wet. That's usually what I do because I don't feel like soaking it. But all right, so now comes the fun part. I need Gus, thank you for that. Um, all right, so I need to move over to the machine so we can get started. So I'm afraid of two things. One, I'm afraid I'm going to like end this somehow, getting this in the tripod over there. Number two, I'm afraid that I'm going to like flip the camera and be looking at my nose. So bear with me. We're going to move around. If you get seasick, you might want to look away until I get the camera situated in the tripod over there so we can get started on the stitch out. So, all right, I'm going to take this out now. Hopefully not end this in any way. Ah, come out. There we go. We're out. We're out. We're out. We're out. We're out. All right. So let's see if I can. I'm also afraid I'm going to hit that like emergency button on the side of my phone. I like to do that a lot when I'm putting in tripods, but look at that. We did it. All right. Success. That was my biggest anxiety tonight was I was somehow going to like on my phone, switching it over or drop the video. All right. So here we are. I have the design loaded to my machine. I'm going to be doing all three in one hoop, just so we can put all three together. If you are just stitching one, chances are I'll still be stitching while yours is long done stitching. I also stitch on grandma speed on my machine, as Michelle likes to say. Um, my machine has a max stitch per minute of like 1,000, 1,300, and I'm chicken. I don't do that. Mine is cranked way down to like 400 stitches per minute. And the reason being, one, I find it stitches better. Two, it's less wear and tear on your machine because it's not going as fast, there's not as much friction, um, less thread breaks, and just the quality looks better. That this is to say that this is a domestic embroidery machine. I don't mean the commercial ones that are meant to like stitch those high speeds. So just for your average kind of home embroidery machine, that's my preference. All right. So with that said, we're ready to go ahead and start stitching. So all three are on my hoop. So the first step of almost any hoop in the hoop project I have is going to be stitching our placement stitches directly on our stabilizer. So I've cutaway hooped. I have a pink thread loaded just so that you can see it on the stabilizer. And we're going to run the first step to just stitch so we see where to place our vinyl. So step one. And sometimes my machine gets really persnickety about stitching just on stabilizer, especially tearaway. Usually cutaway it's better, but for some reason on tearaway, it does not like stitching out on just the stabilizer. Yeah, 350. 350 is good too. I think I got like brave and bumped it up to like 400. That was like speeding for me. think I can move you over just a little bit. Yeah. All right. Trying to keep the needle right in the center of the camera, but I may not be succeeding here. And I added all in the order. I'm actually doing all mine at the same time, Katrina. So mine will all just stitch at the same time, and then we'll go over and we'll kind of assemble them together. I know, Nancy, it's the pink thread. You're right. I didn't think about that. I was switching out a skull. Oh, see, and I did the color sort on my machine versus doing it when I actually made this. So it kind of put the steps a little out of order on me. My machine historically hates pink thread. If any thread like breaks or nests, it's always pink on my machine. I don't know why. Always pink. No, Gemma, it's not just your machine. I don't know why. It gets there, but it just starts stitching and leaving holes, and there's no actual stitching happening. Michelle, I don't want to know what your machine speed is stitched at, is set at, because I know it's probably like 5,000 or something crazy. All right, so hopefully you can see. What are we doing? No. Yeah, so I had to color sort on my machine and it wants to like jump around on me. There we go. Let's go back to where we were. There we go. All right, so our next part here is we're going to go ahead and if you can see, these are our placement stitches. This tells us where to place our vinyl. So if you're cutting a piece of vinyl, you know how big to kind of cut it if you're doing multiples in there. Typically, if you're doing a bag tag, snap, or eyelet, just a piece that's slightly over 4x4 is totally fine. It's going to get you. So like, I think Michelle cut hers from the pack that she had. I don't remember. Michelle, what size did you cut these to? They're going to fit on all of these. So if I was doing just one in a hoop, the size square, just a little over 4 inches, is going to cover up all of those. But since I am doing all in one hoop, there's a cat hair in my hoop too. Um, I just cut a big sheet because I don't want to sit here and like piecemeal pieces as we're going. So 4.5. Okay. All right. So I just have a big piece here. So I put that in. And our first color is going to be the shading for the inside of the ears and under his chin. So I'm using a lighter vinyl, lighter gray vinyl. I'm going to use a little bit darker gray here just for that. So it's not too much contrast, but you'll be able to see it. And I'm sorry that I'm sticking my hand probably in your face trying to thread this. Come on. Really? All right. All right. So, um, yeah, I guess I should put a about the hoop, Michelle. That would have made more sense, but I digress. I know that for next time. I'll think about that. All right. Krista, I had a baby lock for a hot minute and I did not like that machine at all. It was so fickle about what threads I could use. Um, I think I like thread art, which is a lot of what I use, but I still have some cheap like embroidex like thread from forever ago. So it's all kind of a mix of different threads that I had. And my brothers will stitch with anything, but that baby lock did not. Oh, awesome, Patricia. So I'm glad you threw your fix. Yeah, some machines are just fickle about what they like, what they don't. Like mine with pink thread, I don't understand. I'm not an affiliate. I just really like Diamond Dust, Krista. I promise. I make no money off of selling Diamond Dust. Um, I just like it a lot. I use it in a lot of projects because it does hold stitches really, really well. And I like that little bit of glitter um, without it being like overwhelming. So, no, I just like it. And Michelle's pretty awesome too. So, yeah, mine was a smaller baby lock. It was the flare. So it wasn't like it was a 6 by 10. I got it as a backup machine when my other machine went down. So I initially I just had one machine and then it went down. I was like, well, this isn't going to work for me. So I got it and I went to LeBoux Sewing Center in Ann Arbor, who's been awesome to me. I've made the drive up there twice now just because they've been phenomenal. And I'm in Cincinnati, so it was not a short drive, but they like overnighted me the flare because I need the machine quickly when I had one go down. And so I had it, used it until my machine was fixed, and then I tried to never have to use it ever again. All right, so we've got the shading for the snap tab on the left there done. We'll move it on to the shading on the eyelet. And then who knows what my machine decided is going to be the next step here for this, since I just did the machine auto color sort. Diamond Dust is the line of the vinyl that she has, so the type of vinyl, not the color. This is the Morally Gray Diamond Dust, but it's just all the. I don't have any more out right now. Actually, I don't. It's all the way across the room, but she has a bunch of different colors in it as well. I don't think you can have too many machines, Nancy. Um, Mary, I'm glad you like yours. Like it stitched, the flare stitched great. It just, it really, the thread part annoyed me. I hated having to buy a specific thread for it because it hated it. And so I'm probably being a little unfair because it stitched beautifully. Um, but I think and part of the needle threader on mine was like super stiff. And when I talked to just say it like the owner over at LeBoux, she said that some of the models they made it like that on purpose to keep it from like, I don't know, some technical thing, but it bothered me. So I'm just being probably petty and very particular about it. So no hate to Baby Lock. It just wasn't my favorite. Oh, that's smart, Judy. Just to keep it to get something to kind of bite into when you get it first going. Wait, who's got Black Mermaid vinyl? I want Black Mermaid vinyl. I don't know, Chris. 11 machines isn't excessive. It's fine. I mean, if I counter all my machines up, not just embroidery, I don't know. I have a lot of sewing machines too, and a serger. I don't know. I don't think it's too many. Oh, and see now, I should have just sorted it in the software and I didn't. So now it wants to be weird on me. Okay. What are you doing? Now my thread looks weird. What's happening? See, and if the second that you quit watching your machines is when they do crazy stuff, like whatever that was happening. So let's just back that up a few steps and cut that nonsense out. All right, pretend that didn't happen. We'll just back up like 10 steps. Rethread this. I have a sticker. I think I put it on the machine. I don't think you can see it here. Machine may contain gremlins because they absolutely do. Oh no, you couldn't trade your machine then? That's a bummer. Ellie, I am not. I am just encouraging people to help, I don't know, help out other small businesses by getting things that bring them joy. I don't see the problem. Yeah, Kelly, you're the one like I can't believe you only had one embroidery machine. Now, granted, you have like a beast of an embroidery machine, but still. I also talked to Amy, a few Amy from Off with Her Threads. She's like, and probably most of you guys do, she's like my in real life best friend. And I may have also, not even on purpose, but she got a couple of the Stellaires after I did because I loved it so much. So I might be a little bit enabler, but it's fine. The eyelet thing, like, do you mean like when you're threading it, Nancy, it's coming out, or as it's stitching, like it's coming out, like the little hook thing above it? Because I know there's a piece up there too, like that tends, it's kind of a smaller. Now, I'm not listening to me, like I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm assuming because I've heard some people say this, so I'm not a machine technician. I'll preface it with that. But I think if I pause it real quick, do you mean, can you pause already? Do you mean like this piece right here, Nancy, where it's like the thread goes in here and comes down and it's like shredding there, or are you talking like as it's stitching? Because I think this piece right here, because that was the issue with my Baby Lock Flare, and it wasn't really an issue, but it was to me, that these are like tensioned differently with different things, is how she was explaining it. But this is a piece that's easily fixed now, not by me. But my understanding is like this piece here can kind of go bad, or it gets tighter or looser, is how she was explaining it to me. That you can get this replaced. I don't know that I could do it myself, but if you're savvy, you might be able to. So if that's the piece you're talking about, I wonder if that's something that is your issue. See, Mary Ellen, you get it. I am sad 'cause I don't get to sew as much anymore and I miss it. I just don't have the time in the day. I have like in my head, I have this super cute idea that we do for Halloween pillows. I don't think I released the designs yet, but well, I released some of it. I did the snap tab and the eyelet and bag tag for the Hello Kitty pumpkin, and I have an applique version coming out too for standalone, and then the Hello Kitty corn, candy corn. I have an applique coming out too, and I wanted to do them on like Halloween pillows, and I have some super cute like colored Halloween colored pom pom like trim to go around the fabric, and I wanted to make them really bad, but I haven't found the time. All right, so we're ready to do our face. Um, so I put the color here as dark gray in case you want it to do. I have a color stop basically in between the face, the cheeks, and then the outline. Because I don't want to, if you want to use different color for the outline or different color face, I wanted to give you that option. I, however, am just going to do black for everything for that. Um, so but that is why I left the color stop there, because if you're using, say, a super light gray, maybe, oh, sorry, I hit the camera, and you want it to do the outline in maybe like a medium gray or something for like a koala, that's why that color stop is there. And if you don't know what all a color stop means, is the machine gives you a stop, a pause in the design, and it prompts you to change the color. That'll happen a lot in things like appliques where you don't have to actually change the color. It's just a key there that tells the machine you need to stop. So that way you're not running through all your designs in one step and you're stuck trying to like watch and stop at the exact step. So that is why I have those kind of separated. Rita, it is we're talking about So Unique Designs. Um Michelle Durant, you can Google and So Unique Designs is spelled with a Z at the end. I will link it later too. Um, but she's got the best vinyl. And I do like, so I also get a lot of vinyl from So Hungry Hippie too. She does more specialty vinyls. A lot of her vinyls are more like sewing appropriate. She's had a few lines that do really awesome for embroidery, like her gumdrop line, which is phenomenal. It's probably my favorite, like true glitter white. But she hasn't had that in a while, but also she has lots of fun specialty novelty vinyls. Like this one on that, this was a So Hungry Hippie. So I do like her vinyls for that too. But she does a lot more with the sewing vinyls, which are beautiful and gorgeous. But not as much with the embroidery. So I kind of got to pick and choose with her stuff. But Natalie's also good people. I love her. So she's awesome. She's another person to check out for vinyl. Right, we're almost done with the first base. And I hope I brought my drink down here because my throat's getting parched. I did. It's over there. And hopefully my AirPods aren't picking up the sound of me gulping over here. I can hope. Yeah, my punk Rotary got some really pretty vinyls. Um, yeah, I don't like her stuff as much for bags or things that need to be turned. And some satins on some of her stuff. She has great waterproof canvas too, which Still Hungry Hippie does too, but for like basic waterproof canvas, which are great for like sewing garden flags, even on bags or things like that, it doesn't fray as much. They've got some great waterproof vinyl, and she has great bundles and great hardware stuff too. So Nancy, saying that you have the NFS 1600 makes I have one as well, and I love it. It's a workhorse, but I know it's probably pretty old relative to, like newer machines. But makes me think of that piece that's fraying, it might be that piece going bad. Like that little like thread, that last part there almost needs to be replaced. Again, I'm saying without any actual technical knowledge. So take that for what you will. And then just to throw it out there, next week we're doing applique and shaker designs. I have the designs done. I need to get them zipped and up to you guys. I'll have them up probably by Wednesday this week, um, if not earlier than that. Michelle went ahead and put project packs together too for anyone that may want to start there and not have to buy a bunch of shaker bits, picking out the vinyl. Like the So when we talk about doing shaker design, just to give you a heads up on that, when I'm talking clear vinyl, I want you to get something that's um at least 12 gauge. So if you're going to like a craft store or something like that and you can find clear vinyl, make sure it's at least 12 gauge. Anything thinner than that is not going to be great. You're more likely to perforate or just kind of rip over time. When you hear about clear vinyls, you'll hear either TPU, which I have no idea what that stands for, or you'll hear about PVC, which again, not entirely sure what that stands for, but they're two different types of clear vinyl. TPU tends to be a little more pliable, a little softer than PVC. PVC a little more structured. For shakers, there's no inherent benefit, or either one is totally fine. There's no benefit in getting one over the other for shakers. So whatever you can find at the store to get order is totally fine. Don't get caught up in like the type of vinyls. Hey, Bobby. So just as a heads up for that, if you want to start like kind of sourcing those, you'll need all the same supplies for this week with the addition of um, the clear vinyl for top and then shaker bits that you want to use. When we're talking about shaker bits, try and if you're just getting into shakers, I would shy away from glitter in general because especially if you've got finer glitter, what's going to happen is it kind of gets staticky inside there, inside the vinyl, and that glitter will stick to that vinyl and not really shake for you very well. So that's kind of my advice on that is skip the glitter until you kind of get used to seeing how glitter works, how the shakers go together, um, and say, things for that. Yeah, actually, Bobby, so some of that clear tablecloth or even like the shower curtain liners are PVC and like 12 gauge. I don't know which is which. Don't get like the really thin ones, obviously, but some of that stuff is kind of the same thing. So just be mindful, like you're not getting like, I think they even have like, honestly, at Home Depot or Lowe's, they have plastic sheet. You don't want to get the stuff that's like heavy garbage bags. You want to make sure that it's like at least something when you put the shower curtains up, like you got 12 gauge. So you can absolutely use those too, just making sure that they're permanent vinyls and not like that terrible kind of throwaway stuff. Does that make sense? Especially if you just want to see how it goes. Michelle, did you know that for real, or did you Google that? Please tell me that you Googled that. I mean, I'll be super impressed if you know off the top of your head, but please tell me that you Googled that so I feel better because I feel like I read that and it went out of my brain. All right, so um, we are on to the pink cheeks. Uh, okay, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you. I was just like, I was super impressed. Like, damn, she's the top of her head. She was like, it's this, this, and this. I actually prefer TPU for a lot of things, because it's more pliable, but I don't have a preference for shakers for the most part. That's just me. There's like no right or wrong. Are you still selling the TPU vinyl on your website, Michelle? Because we had the thinner gauges, right? Because I know you ordered some when I was doing the slap bracelets because I had to find a very specific TPU and a certain gauge. It was really hard to source. And you bought like a giant roll or three of it. Yeah, you can absolutely use 20 gauge too. So anything I say for the plastic, nothing less than 12. And 20 is probably about the highest that I feel like I would be comfortable going, but I haven't tried higher than 20. Oh, sweet. See, Michelle, you're awesome. All right, and then we're doing the cheeks. So we're gonna do a little white highlight on the nose, and then we'll do the outline of our face, and then we'll be ready to add our backing. So Krista, they're cookies. I did like I put a picture up in the group, kind of like, I don't know. I shared Michelle's packs and they were in there. But I haven't like fully shared the design yet, but it's their cookies. There's two different ones, like with different icing on them. So kind of just like fun. Like you could honestly, the cookies that you could do Halloween cookies, you could do Christmas cookies, you could do whatever. So however you want to make yours is fine. Like I didn't make it like a holiday or like a theme specific than that, just so you could kind of pick and choose. Like you could do them in Halloween colors and put like little bat bits in. You could save them for Christmas and put little Christmas bits in. I'll read it. It's okay. It's okay. We're all in the same boat together. Oh, really? Stop. So here's what I've heard. Um, so now granted, so I've got a bunch of different like vinyls in clear. I have printed clear, I have in PVC and TPU, and there was like a whole stink going around maybe like a year ago about like how PVC vinyls were like yellowing when exposed to sunlight for like a long time. Which I kind of feel like wouldn't that happen? I mean, it's plastic. Isn't plastic kind of yellow in the sun? Like, I don't know why that was a big deal or a big shock to some people. And so a lot of places, or maybe it was the TPU doing, I don't know, one of them were doing it. And so then some suppliers were like, well, we're going to switch from going from PVC and we're only going to carry TPU or vice versa, whatever it was. Um, and people were like, so like, I can't believe that I got this vinyl and it yellowed in the sun. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's plastic. Vinyl is plastic. It's going to yellow in the sun. Also, why are you keeping, if you're not like doing an outdoor tablecloth or something, like what are you putting out in the sun all the time? I don't understand that. I didn't get. I didn't get why people were so upset by that. So I guess maybe just don't leave your shakers in the sun for like 57 years. I don't know the cloudiness, but I remember the yellowing thing being a big deal. Oh, no, I lied. Look, I just look at me. I'm talking, not paying attention. We're doing the outline for the face yet, and I'm assuming we're doing the highlight next. That's why you should follow what your machine says and not just like assume that you know better, like I just did. It's fine. No harm, no foul. I caught it quick enough. I lied. We're doing the outline for the whole head now before we do the highlight. Some of y'all are probably looking at your machine, looking at me like, what is she doing? That's not the next step. It wasn't. And I'm hitting the camera with my arm. All right. So now I'm just use black for the outline on mine. Okay, Steph. So you know what I'm talking about though, Steph? Like that whole thing. Like people were so upset about yellowing vinyl. I didn't understand. Yeah, and so like if you saw Michelle's comment, like when you are looking for things to fill it with, I like if you're looking for something to search polymer clay slices. And that will give you a lot of uh let me see. I got my bits over here. So I know I'm not gonna just dump this on my machine, which is possible I will. Um, these are polymer clay slices. So they're flat, they come in different shapes and sizes, and they kind of give a different variety of things to shake around versus glitter. And like I said, you can use glitter. I just find that, especially if you're using like a fine weight craft glitter, they don't, they stick to that inside of that vinyl. And my dog is down here going crazy. So I feel like the clay slices are kind of more beginner friendly with that. I also, Target Dollar Spot, I got these last year. You can see they're little pumpkin, like sequin type pumpkins. I got these at the Dollar Spot at Target. I know Michael's has little things like this. I also got, which is why I did the little gingerbread cookie jar. This is a Target Dollar Spot too. They're little gingerbread like men. So keep an eye out there too. Maybe even Dollar Tree, keep an eye out. You can find them in a bunch of different places and not for a lot of money. If you're wanting to try something specific, say you really want to get like fruit slices, I really like Happy Kawaii Supplies. She's got her own website. I think she's put Etsy too. Um, but her stuff, like that bag that I showed you first, like her bags are like $2 or less for the smaller amounts. So you don't have to commit to buying a large quantity. Gus, could you go away? And spending so much money on like who needs like a pound of like fruit slices. So you could get a bunch of different small pieces, little smaller amounts. It'll still give you plenty of shakers without having to spend a lot of money. Gus, holy bananas, go away. Do you guys get the squeaking over here? I like little lambs too. Oh, and Timu, yes. I know some people were going on AliExpress and getting bits before. I don't honestly know how this all working now with like importing stuff, to be honest. It might still be a cheaper option. I'm not sure. But I know you can find them on AliExpress for sure. And Amazon has them, but I promise you, Amazon is actually more expensive than buying from like Glitter Lambs or like Happy Kawaii Supply because you're getting a larger amount. Um, that's all that like you'll get like a pound of like lemon slices. So just be mindful of that. Right. He's super cute. I'm really happy with him. And if this is your first like skill builder with me, I see a lot of familiar names, so I've done them before. I try to do these pretty much general audience with this and not specific to a holiday or a theme or things like that. So I'm not going to be doing Christmas designs, things like that, because I want something you can kind of use year round with these. This designs I put in the pack. So just don't be afraid. I'm not going to give you something crazy or I'll be specific and I won't have any mature items in here either. It'll all be kind of simple, fun, quick things that we can do. Without being a super specific niche audience. Oh, I did. I'm sorry, Chris. I thought you were talking to Nancy about the machine. This is Brother Stellaire 2. It is, I've got the Stellaire 1 over there. This is Stellaire XC2, I think it is. They're 9 by 14 single needle. I just got earlier this was it earlier this year that I got it? It's not that old. I want to say it was late last year or earlier this year that I got the two. Before I had my 9 by 14 and then my 6 by 10, and so I just decided to go ahead and get two 9 by 14s to work with. Although, have you seen like brother also has like some crazy large, like 20 by something single needle? It's crazy pants. I don't think I could put that on my table, to be honest with you. Although it would make some giant stuffies, which would be awesome. Yeah, it's embroidery only. So all my embroidery machines are embroidery only. They do, so brother does have a 9 by 14 that is I forget if it's Solaire or what, but it's also they do have an option that is sewing and embroidery, but mine are just embroidery only. Avenir, that's it. Yeah, it's ginormous. So part of me is like, I don't no, I don't think that would fit on my table. I don't think I have a table that would like fit that, but it would be super cool to have. But honestly, I don't think I would need it. I just might want it. Could you imagine like a 20 by 14 stuffy? That's amazing. It would probably take 3 hours to stitch though, but I make 9 by 14 stuffies all the time. I've actually got two in hoops right now because I was Friday afternoon, I was stitching them up and then I had to leave. And one's done except for the back, and the one is just almost done. So they're sitting to the side for now, so I can go back to them tomorrow morning. I do like my 9 by 14 inch size stuffies, but who doesn't like bigger stuffies? Now we're almost there, right? I'm just thinking. I think I had to talk Amy off the ledge of getting one of those big giant hoops because her whole thing was like, "How cool is it to make that stuffy?" I'm like, "Yeah, but because the price tag on the machines are ridiculous too. These crazy pants for a single needle. The price on the Avenir, even am I saying it right? Crazy. It's like new car prices. Well, not new car, but the car prices. I don't know, Michelle. It'd be super fun. Like I'm not gonna get one, but um, yeah, I think Luminaire was like like the model right before the Stellaires, or they still make the Luminaires, or maybe Luminaire is that the Stellaires version of like the sewing and embroidery one. I know the names are all getting confusing to me. Okay, is a Stellaire? I don't know. It's all very confusing. I actually prefer to keep my embroidery machines separate from my sewing machines, and that's just my preference because when I sew, I tend to sew bulky things, heavier. I sew a lot of bags, um, and I'm terrified of potentially like hitting a needle or hitting a zipper or like a bulky seam the wrong way and like knocking the timing out. I'm just a chicken about it. But again, that's just me being a chicken. All right, so now it's time for the white highlight, and now I have a cat down here. Why are these animals coming down here right now? Hi, Reggie. There's Reginald Dwight at my feet down there. I will give, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give a free design to the first person that tells me what Reginald Dwight is from. Anyone knows? And I will give you a free design of who Reginald Dwight is. If you Google, that's cheating, but I still wouldn't know if you Googled. Aha, okay. So I get confused about the luminol. Nope, it's not The Office, Kelly. Good guess, though. Not The Office. Reginald Dwight is the birth name, given name of someone very famous that you guys all know of. Nobody? It's a singer. I'll give you that hint. It's a singer that you all know. Oh, you should all know. Maybe if you're super young, you wouldn't know, but I feel like you still would. Elton John, Gemma, you got it. I will give you the design of your choice. You got it. It is Elton John. He's my favorite. Michelle, come on. Here's a little trivia night. All right, so we're ready to add our backing. All right, so I'm going to flip mine over. I'm going to use, and Gus is right there too. All these animals are down here. Why are y'all down here? Lord. All right, so I'm going to use just vinyl for the back of mine. I'm going to make sure when I place this in the back side of my hoop that I'm covering all of my stitches, just like we did in that first step, that I don't have any of those stitches. Be careful you don't have it like this because then you're not going to catch the vinyl. Make sure it's covering all of your stitches. All right, Gemma. All right, Kim, you came around too. I'll give you your design of your choice too. And then I'll end it at that. So Gemma and Kim, you win. I actually saw Elton John in concert a couple years ago, and it was amazing. Sir Elton John. He happens to be my favorite solo artist. All right, I'm just gonna tape this down on the back of my hoop, just so it's not gonna shift on me. And I'm gonna flip this back over, pop it back on my hoop, and I'm gonna switch my thread color to match my vinyl. I prefer to have coordinating thread for my vinyl, especially if maybe you struggle with like wonky cutting. You're not so great at cutting them. It's going to hide that a little better than if you were to use a contrasting thread. So I'm going to use, oh, that's a little light. Let's go a little bit darker. Hmm, man, I'm striking out here. That's what I get for not like picking out my thread colors ahead of time. I think that's better. I like to lay it on the vinyl before I stitch to kind of see if it's going to match or not. It doesn't have to be exact, but I find that it's easier if you're using a matching thread color on your vinyl for your final outline than a contrasting one. But if you are super confident in your cutting skills, I am not, um, go for it. Do whatever color you want. All right, so I've got that in there. I'm gonna thread that. Um, and then we're gonna run our next steps there. So Gemma and Kim, will you please email me, Cindy at nosypepperpatterns.com to remind me to send you and let me know what design you want. And I'll get that over. I'll add it to your account tomorrow. I just leave the bobbin white on the back. No one really looks at the back, so don't worry about it too much. I use pre-wound bobbins, so it's white for everything. Michelle, you make it sound like I'm so organized. I have no idea what those thread colors are up there. If you were to ask me what color thread this is, I would have no idea. It's a silver thread that was on my rack. The only ones I do know is if it is a thread art because thread art has a little label on the bottom. But this guy does not. I don't know where I got it. I don't know what color it is. I'd never be able to reorder it again. Don't know. But I can find you a thread art color that's super similar to it. All right, so we're on to our eyelet. You got the front row for Elton. That's amazing. So it was for, I don't know if it was for like Valentine's Day or anniversary. I don't know what the event was that my husband got us tickets. So, and he got like the VIP package, which was super cool because we got to go like before the concert started. We had like a dining room where we had like some swag and we got free dinner and like drink tickets. But our actual seats for the concert were literally second row from the top on the side. It was like the worst seats you could imagine. Like I think we walked like it felt like 10 minutes up to our seats. It's the kind of seat that like you're not going to go to the bathroom. You're just going to hold it because it's like a 20-minute walk down. But I tell you what, it's still my favorite concert. It was still phenomenal, even though I was so far up into the side. Like Loved it. So I can't imagine like front row. That would be amazing. But it was almost sold out. So I was kind of glad he got those seats. He was lucky to get those. Yeah, Kelly, do you know what color your grays are though? Like, do you have them labeled like Michelle? Or are you like me? Like, I don't know. It's gray. All right. So we're on the outline for our bag tag now. Oh my gosh, Regina, yeah, I'd be like, heck yeah, I can be loud. Are you kidding me? It was like a once in a lifetime experience, it felt like for me. So even way up in like the nosebleed seat. I was so stoked to be there. And I think we're from Cincinnati, and I think we went to we went like 2 hours. I don't remember if it was to Indy or to Lexington. I don't remember. My memory's not there anymore. But it was absolutely worth it. For sure. So this is okay. I'm going to show you the back of my grays here. So this is, do I have any? I don't. Look, these are the back of my spools. I have no discerning marks. The only difference is the thread art, which I get has at least the color number. So I know, but if I didn't get it from thread art, like I don't know. There's nothing. Honestly, I think some of these came when I got one of my machines. It came with like a big thread pack too. I don't know who the manufacturer was though. I don't think these didn't even come with labels from the manufacturer. Yeah, if it's not thread art, I don't know. Or these came in like a pack. I've never opened this, but it has like the label on the top that you have to remove to use the spool. What am I supposed to do with that? I'm not about to like get the color number on the Sharpie on there. So I just guess it's fine. All right. So we are, gosh, really, that's where you're gonna be, is right under my feet. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna move you over so that I can climb over the dog. All right. Um, gosh, seriously. Sure. Speed bump. All right, I'm gonna move you over to the table again. Um, so again, I'm gonna apologize. I did such a smooth transition last time that I'm super skeptical that I'm not really gonna super mess it up this time, but we're gonna try. All right, so here we go. Taking you out, moving you over. There's Gus being a speed bump. Say hi to Gus, everybody. All right, let's put you back in and try not. My hands are shaking because I'm so worried I'm gonna like disconnect this. Oh, look at that. And I didn't. Magical. You see like the top of my, can I slide this down a little bit? There we go. Look at that. Okay. Yay. Off to a good start. All right. Okay. So we're at the table. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these off the hoop. I've got these popped out. I'm going to go ahead and get these trimmed up. So let's get my hoop off to the side for now. All right. So when I do my cutting, I like to do a rough cut first. I find it's really hard to be precise and get good angles when I'm like trying to cut with a bunch of bulk around the outside. So I like to do a rough cut first, kind of just cut away. I know, cut away from myself. I'm sorry. I know. Before you yell at me, I know better. Cut away from myself. All right. So like I said, I'm going to do just a rough cut and get these kind of cut out before I start actually trying to do a neat job cutting these. So let's get this excess kind of cut out. That way I can deal with the finer parts here. All right, same thing on this. I'm gonna get that bulk cut out. Um, I use, these are 8-inch shears, I think. Um, 8-inch. which I know is wild talk for some people. They use smaller ones. They work for me. I think to me, it's honestly just more important that they're sharp. These work just fine. These are Gingers. I've got a few other pairs too, but these are currently the sharpest pair that I have. The rest of them need to be sharpened. So when you're cutting these, it's important that you're actually moving the vinyl when you're cutting and not the scissors. So you're not cutting like you would paper where you're like literally cutting around. You're moving the vinyl. So your non-dominant hand is controlling that turning. I like to cut about a 1/4 inch away or so, just so, see, I'm turning the vinyl, not the scissors. Just so if you cut a little farther away, it also helps hide any wonky stitches. So, or any walking cutting, I mean. So like if you're trying to get super close on here, anytime that you're uneven or it's a little wonky, it's a lot more noticeable than if you were to stay just a little farther away. Because I am not the greatest cutter, I promise you. Again, I'm just turning the vinyl and the scissors are staying kind of in one place. See, I got it uneven there, but it's not as noticeable because I didn't get so close, but I will trim that down a little bit. And just be careful when you go to trim a little more away that you don't run into the issue that you keep trimming and trimming and trimming to make it even. And before you know, it's like when you cut yourself bangs and you think and you try to even it up, and before you know, like you've got like really super like inch short bangs. So just keep that in mind too. All right, so we got our snap tag cut. Um, let's go ahead and cut out our eyelet. So same thing, about a 1/4 inch or so away. It's better to have a few wonky cuts than to be too close and cut into your stitches or to have bad bangs. Again, oh, I'm sorry. I guess I could get under the camera. That would help. All right. And I am just moving my vinyl, not the scissors. Again, it's not a perfect cut by any means, but because I haven't gotten so close, it's not as obvious in the places if they were a little wonky or were a little unevenly cut. All right, so now we got our big bag tag here. Um, Tim, I finally decided that I'm not cutting my bangs myself anymore. It's a lesson that I was doomed to learn many, many, many times. So we'll see how long this sticks that I'm not cutting my own bangs. I actually had bangs for the last year or so, and I decided this week when I was at the hairstylist that I was going to let them start growing out again. But that may change in another month. Who knows? Oh, I'm sorry. I keep going off camera. All right. So our guys are all cut out here. All right. Go ahead and take a second. I just get like wonky little loose threads around eyelet circles and things like that. Just trim those up, which is way easier with smaller scissors. But we're just going to go with what I have in my hand. All right. So we've got our koalas and we're ready to go ahead and install our hardware. So, um, all right. You thought that was fast cutting stuff? I don't know. Maybe my hand's not going to catch on fire though if I cut too fast. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and punch holes first. So if you have a crocodile, I'm just going to use that. If you have the eyelet set and it came with a punch like this, do not use this punch directly on your cutting table. This punch will go through your cutting mat. You will destroy your cutting mat. Promise you. Either get a smaller cutting mat that you don't care this destroyed, or even like a small chunk of wood and put that underneath before you use this to punch a hole. Okay, I am going to use my crocodile, but do not put this in your cutting mat. Make sure you've got something behind it that you don't mind if it gets destroyed if you're using the hole punch. And you would just take that, place it up, get a hammer, get a mallet, and just whack, whack, and it'll punch that hole out. But I'm going to use my crocodile. So on mine, oh, AirPod fell out. On mine, I've got a 3/16 plus a, I don't know what size this is, 1/8. Aha, that's what it says, 1/8. I'm gonna go with my 3/16 punch. Gonna line that up in my Crop-A-Dile here. Just try and get it where that stitching is centered in there. Just punch that out. And I have to knock the, there we go, out of there so I can see for the next one. I'll do the same one on this one. Just going to punch that out. All right, let's go ahead and install our eyelets. I'm gonna do, let's see. I kind of wanted to do like a light pink, like a baby pink on mine. Is that weird? To match the cheeks. Um, let's see. Yeah, if you're using Tearaway and you want to pull it, you absolutely can as well. Um, I have never tried. I had a skin and cut for like a hot, actually gave it away. It came with a machine that I ordered and I had no use for it. So I gave it away in the group like a couple years ago. Never used it, but supposedly it was something you could send like a PES file to and it would cut it. But honestly, just I couldn't get my head around it. I didn't even try it, but in my head, I was like, how does this work? That sounds like magic. All right, so my eyelets in, the pretty sides here on the front, the little flat part here. Go ahead and put that down. And then I'm going to grab my Crop-A-Dile and I'm going to pop that in. And I'm going to, oop, did you stay in on me? Okay, pop that in. We have one eyelet installed there. If you're using your little tool set, what you would do is you would essentially do the same thing. Go ahead and put this in. It comes with this piece here. You'd pop this down and then you'd put that flange on the back of it and you would take this tool and you pop this over and you would whack it with a hammer a few times. So that's what to do if you don't have a Crop-A-Dile and you've just got one of those sets. All right, same thing. Go ahead and pop this in my Crop-A-Dile. And my only complaint with this is like the unlock button here gets pushed over on me all the time. It locks it up like that. There we go. We got two eyelets installed. All right, so let's put that to the side for now. I like Crocodile better, but yeah, it's Crop-A-Dile. So the pink press, I love my, this is an actual can pink press. And a couple things with this, you can only use the Cam brand eyelets with this. So Cam Snaps has their own specific eyelet, which I have some, but they're slightly different. Like, I don't know what's different about them. They're slightly different, just the tiniest bit. This is 3/16. Can you see there's a tiny bit of difference between both the like post height here, the width of that post, and the width of the flange here. And this does not work with anything but the Cam actual eyelets. And I have some of the Cam eyelets. However, when you order Cam eyelets, you can't pick colors. You get whatever colors they send you in a bag. So I don't use them that much for that because I want to be able to pick the color of the eyelet that I'm using. So that's why I don't use the eyelets in this so much. That's the only reason. Also it's a little easier because when you're doing the can, I love my can press, but you have to constantly change dyes. So if I were to, I'd have to get a separate dye in here to punch the hole and then put my eyelet, like my grommet eyelet setting tool in here too. So it's just much more work for me to change it out, if that makes sense. So I do kind of default to this for putting eyelets in. All right, so with now we got our snap tab. So with this, I got my bag of snaps. I've got my press set up with my snap tool on there. I'm gonna go ahead and just punch a hole, well, pierce a hole, kind of center just a little bit up where I want the center of my bottom snap to be. And up here, same thing. Punch that in and put my eyelid back. Again, if you are having issues with your snaps coming off, this would be a good chance for you, as opposed to punching those holes, like piercing it, punch a hole. And that's going to give you more for those snaps to bite into, in lieu of using long prongs, or maybe your hand tool, like you don't have a lot of hand strength, it's hard to get it in there. Punch a hole and it's going to help with that. All right, so yeah, honestly, my snap tool is, my snap die is pretty much just lives in this. All right, so with this, we need two flat pieces and a male and a female. Another tip I will give you for popping off, which, and this is, there's no science to this. I don't, no science to this, but I found, it's gonna sound crazy, and it probably is crazy. Um, Push it all the way through with your fingers so there's more of that pose showing for it to bite onto. But I have found if you put the male part at the bottom, for me, it helped with them staying on too. Don't know why. All right, and I'm hitting this. Oop, I'm hitting this here. Sorry, I'm kind of off camera here because this is just up. You don't need to watch me like push the snap tab in, right? I can do this off camera over here. I'm just pushing the lever down. All right, so I'm going to install a snap on that one. Like I said, your flat part's going to go on the front side on both of this, just so when you your pieces that snap together here are going to be on the back. So I have my male one down. Do the same thing here at the top with the female. Push it through. Nails or whatever, make sure it's really pushed down there so you've got a lot of that post visible. You can see there. And then put my female piece on. I'm going to go off camera and push this down. All right, so we're attached. All right, so here's the back, here is the front. And with these, I have, where's Michelle's bag that she sent me go? Michelle, I lost your bag. Here it is. Oh, where'd the wood bed? I had the beads and everything. I have lost my mind. Oh, I put them in the cup all the way at the beginning. They're in the cup. All right, we're back in business. All right, so with this, these are wire rings. I actually have them in a bunch of different colors. If you go to my website, I think it's on my website, there's one of the tabs. It's just not unscrewing. There we go. One of the tabs I have is like a link to a lot of these different ones. I liked the colored wire rings just because I like color. And these are a little thinner. So Michelle sent in hers these wooden beads, and I don't know what size these are, but the wooden beads of this size will actually go through this wire. I typically use silicone beads. Um, they will go through. What happened? Oh my gosh, my little thing just fell off. That wasn't helpful. All right, here's one that's kind of put together. There we go. So the silicone beads here, the hole will stretch a little bit, so you can get them off and on if you don't have a larger, like odd wooden beads. Sometimes they're a little fiddly just to kind of get them on. Picking a random one, you kind of have to just push it through and then kind of force it in like that to get them on. You can either put it on kind of as is, which gives you a little more safety when it's on, or you can use a jump ring if you want it to say you want it to lay flat. Do I have any of mine like that? Let me see if I have one made already. But I did like that. I've got this whole box of stuff over here. Oh, no one wants to see that one. Here we go. All right. I found one mature ones over there. I'm like, no, no one wants to see that. All right, so you can put a jump ring on it where it will lay flat for you. Um, the only thing I like worry about with the jump rings is sometimes these are more prone to stretching and pulling off. So it's just a matter of preference. Or you can just put them directly onto the wiring itself, which is a little more secure than the jump ring. So that again, that's just preference, especially if you're putting like a kid's backpack. Kids are hard on stuff. These are much more likely to stay on if you don't use the jump ring. But keep in mind they don't lay as flat. So there's that with that one. If you don't want to use it as a bag tag, these also work for ornaments and for bookmarks. So you could put a string through this and make it a Christmas ornament. You can put a tassel through it or a ribbon through it, make it a bookmark, whatever your preference is. So where did I lose everything at this table? It's like stuff that was here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, tassel. If you wanted to make it a bookmark, you could do that, or just even ribbons. However you want to make these. They work for lots of different types of things. And then we have our snap and our eyelet. I am actually, what am I gonna do? Lost everything. I had stuff sitting out here. We'll steal this one from that here too. I like these little guys here, these little, Natalie had them for a while at So Hungry Hippie. Called them doohickeys. I think Glitterbug Fairy has them now too, and I found them on Amazon as well. They're little jump rings or gate rings where these actually do pop open, but they're hard to get open. So they're pretty secure as well. And you could put these on zippers, backpack, keys, whatever. Or you can just use the split ring if you want to do that. And I like to put beaded chain, which I had like matching perfect gray beaded chain set aside over here, but long gone. Oh, there it is. I found it actually. This is what Michelle sent. Michelle, I love you. This is great. I just want it to match with the gray because I'm particular. I don't know why I am the way that I am. But bead a chain for the eyelet, that's just my preference. And snap tab and bag tag. And that's it. So we've made it all. So hopefully that was helpful. Oh, and Michelle said 16 millimeters for the wooden beads. Anyone asking for the wooden beads? So if you prefer the wooden ones with the larger holes, that's 16 millimeter wooden beads. Mine are 15 millimeter silicone beads, but I have even smaller ones that still work too. You just have to stretch them a little bit more. So if you have, I would say, limited hand mobility or limited hand strength, these silicone beads are more challenging for you because you do have to kind of force it in there, where the wooden beads you can just slide on. So keep that in mind too, if that's something you struggle with or have to worry about as hand strength or arthritis or something, that the wooden beads might work better for you. Or you don't have to use the beads at all. Totally up to you. So next week, we will do our shakers. So this is one such shaker. Not, this isn't our design, but just where we have shakers, we've got it filled with stuff. Why I grabbed the R one, but whatever. So this is what we're doing next week, but not this design. So shakers, I have two shakers for you for next week, to put applique shakers like this. So we'll have a base color in the background, an applique portion on top that's a different material, and then our clear vinyl on top that we can fill with all the fun bits. So we'll probably do the same time next week, or about that time next week. I will have everything set up early this week so that you can see when the event is, and I'll get the design to you so it's all squared away and good to go. I will get this loaded up on YouTube this week as well, so it's there since Facebook's deleting everything now after 30 days. Bunch of jerks. So that way it's there to reference if you need to. And if you have any more questions I haven't answered, just feel free to pop them in the comments. And I will make sure that I'm reading through. And Gemma and Kim, don't forget to email me too and let me know what design you want. So, and that's it. So, oh, and if you guys order, if you want the kit and you order from Michelle today or tomorrow, she's like speedy, fast shipping. So if you're in the continental US, there's a good chance you would have it in time for next week. So I'm just saying, I can't promise that, but there's a good chance that you will. If you don't have materials and you order, it's a good way to kind of get that small pack and get started. So, all right. So, yeah, Mary Ellen, I'm going to put this up on YouTube, so it'll be up for you to reference as well. So, everyone have a fantastic week, and I will see you probably next Sunday. All right. Bye, everyone.